Today, we're discussing the full roster for Invincible Versus, the upcoming fighting game that shocked the world recently. Everybody's mind was blown, and this game might actually rival Mortal Kombat in terms of violence. The show has tons of popular characters to pick from, and of course the comic books have even more characters. But sadly, not all of them can make the cut, since you can only shove so many characters into one fighting game. And believe it or not, some players have already had access to the game at Combo Breaker, and they were playing some pretty cool characters that never appear in the trailer. So let's just say the roster is looking awesome. Today's video will be split into 5 sections. Characters that I know will be playable, followed by characters that are likely but not guaranteed. Then we have the characters that are not likely, followed by characters that will definitely not be in the game. Then finally we have my personal picks that I would shove into the game if I could, like Tech Jacket and Universa. So without any further ado, let's get started, and let me know in the comments which characters you want in the game most, because I love making these videos interactive. Alright, first up we have the guaranteed characters. Obviously, I'm going to skip the characters we saw in the trailer because of course they're going to be playable. So let's begin with a fan favorite, Battle Beast. This character quite literally lives to fight. Then on top of that, he's a fan favorite character, so of course he's going to be in the game. In fact, this character was so popular among comic lovers that the writer shoved him into season 1 even though he should never have appeared. He's not that early in the comics, but the writer made it happen because that's how popular Battle Beast is. Next up, we have Duplicate, who I know has divided the fan base. Some people love this character while others despise her immensely, but regardless, this character is popular. In fact, Duplicate is so popular among show watchers that she's already in Fortnite. And me personally, I think her gameplay is gonna be really fun, kinda like Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat. Next up, we have Immortal. If the developers don't put this guy in the game, then they're fools, because already the memes have begun. Players are already lining up to main this character, so Immortal finally has some W's. In the show, he's constantly losing, taking L's over and over again, but in video game form, we decide how often he wins. So for the memes alone, Immortal is definitely going to be in the game, but also he's popular from the show, so yeah, he'll be there. Then we have Robot. This character's attacks are going to be so sick because the sky's the limit. His technology is incredible. So you know the developers are going to do some really cool stuff with this guy, and of course he's going to be playable since his gameplay would be completely different from everyone else. Not to mention, we see several versions of Robot in the show, and fighting games are known for having multiple costumes per character, and that's going to be really easy for Robot. But next up, we have Angstrom Levy, the main villain of Season 2 and also Season 3. Let's be real, this guy is a menace to Invincible. And even while watching the show, I thought to myself, this guy would be perfect as a video game character. He's got the drones that fly at you, he can open portals anywhere around you to move around, or even throw you into the portals. Yeah, Angstrom is the perfect fighting game character. And he also plays a massive role in the show, so yeah, he's gonna be in the game. Which brings us to the final character I think is guaranteed for the roster, Monster Girl. Because every fighting game needs that big body character, and Monster Girl would be perfect. Now with that said, I don't think her girl form is ever going to be playable, just the monster form, but she plays a big role in the show and an even bigger role in the comics, so yeah, Monster Girl's gotta be in. So next up, let's talk about the likely characters. These are not guaranteed to be playable, but still quite likely. For example, Alan the Alien, big fan favorite among the show watchers and comic book readers alike, so for that reason alone, he could be in the game. However, we also have to consider gameplay, and realistically, Alan's not any different than Invincible or even Omni-Man in terms of his abilities. And the developers are definitely weighing that option when picking the characters for this game, right? They're popular, sure, but will their gameplay add any variety? Me personally, I hope that Alan's fame is enough to get him into the game. Next up, we have the Mauler twins, perhaps the most recurring villain in the entire series, and they use weaponry and technology which will help them stand out gameplay-wise, which is why I think the Mauler twins have a good chance of being added to the roster. It's not guaranteed, but they've got a good chance. But next up, we have Alternate Mark. In other words, Invincible from different timelines. I'm not sure which one developers are gonna pick, but I'm nearly certain that at least one Alternate Mark is gonna make it into this game. The most likely candidates are Sinister Mark and Mohawk Mark, because they appear the most in comics and also have the most speaking lines during the show as well. Then last and also least, unfortunately, we have Black Samson. Originally, I was confident he would be in the game because we got Bulletproof. And come on, it's Bulletproof. The guy's got fans to be sure, and later on in the comics, he plays a pretty big role, but when it comes to gameplay, he's basically Invincible, just scaled down. So I thought if he's in the game, then surely Black Samson will be playable too, but then I remembered how Black Samson does almost nothing in the show. Like almost nothing at all. Whereas in the comics, he does sometimes do cool stuff, but they took one of his best moments from the comics out of the show, which was crazy. So as a result, result, I'm actually not sure if Black Samson will be in the game, but my fingers are crossed. Because next up, it's time for the not likely category. These characters are less likely to be in the game, but not completely deconfirmed. They've still got a chance. First up is Powerplex. This guy plays a very small role in Season 3, but his powers and abilities would be perfect for a fighting game. Come on, he's pretty much Raiden. This guy has lightning abilities, and the more you hit him, the stronger he gets, so gameplay-wise, he'd be very unique. However, as mentioned earlier, he plays a minor role in Season 3, so I'm not quite sure if he'll make the cut, especially if this game has a smaller roster. Then we have Shapesmith, otherwise known as the Martian, with Mr. Fantastic stretchy abilities, so just like Powerplex, his gameplay would be very fun, and for that reason alone, I wish he'd be in the game, but I'm worried he's just not quite popular enough among fans, and as a result, he could lose his roster spot to other characters. Next up, we have Donald, and hear me out, okay? I think Donald would be the perfect joke character. He's got access to high-tech weapons and other technology to fight with, and I don't want to spoil anything for people that haven't seen Season 2 or Season 3, but let's just say this guy gets some power-ups, alright? And I'll leave it at that. While I do think it would be amazing for Donald to hop around going, oh geez, oh gosh, oh my, while hopping around with a giant gun and other technology, I'm just not quite sure if there's room in the game for him. So next up, we have Darkwing 2, because the first Darkwing died, and I don't think any dead Guardians of the Globe will be in this game. I'm just gonna say that right away, because they just don't play a very big role in the show. Now, would it be amazing if Red Rush was playable in the game? Yeah, absolutely. I'm just not sure if characters that die in episode 1 are gonna make the cut, which is why we're talking about Darkwing 2 right now and not the original. This guy would fight like Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat with his portals, but Angstrom Levi also does that, which would make Darkwing 2 kind of redundant, so I'm not sure if he'll be in the game or not. Which brings us to the no category, as in not happening. These characters are not going to be in the game, like Debbie for example. I know people joke about Debbie being a playable character in lots of Invincible media, but it's never going to happen. And the same is true for Cecil, even though he can teleport, and I'd love to play as him, summoning cyborgs and other people to fight on my behalf. That would be really fun, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Then we have Damien Darkblood. This guy plays a big role in Season 1, and he does have some cool abilities, but I don't think it would transfer well to gameplay, or more specifically, a fighting game. Damien Darkblood does have some cool powers and abilities, but I don't think they'll play well in a fighting game. Then sadly, we have Shrinking Ray. I personally like this character and would love for her to be playable in Invincible Versus, but I just don't think she's popular enough among fans, and even Fortnite did her dirty by making her an accessory instead of an actual skin in the game. So if even Fortnite itself is not making Shrinking Ray a playable character, then I doubt Invincible Versus is, because the character selection is much smaller. And believe it or not, that's actually it for the no category. So to end this video, let's talk about my personal picks. Alright, characters that I really want to be in the game, but I've got no clue what the odds are. First up is Tech Jacket, a big fan favorite among comic readers, but many show watchers likely have no clue who this guy is, because he barely shows up in Season 3 for like 10 seconds or something. So yeah, a very small role in the show overall, which is a real shame because in the comics, he's actually a big deal. In fact, he's got his own comic series. That's how cool Tech Jacket is, but for the show, they just don't use him for whatever reason, and as a result, I'm worried he might not be in the game, even though he'd be so cool. Then we have Universa, sexy, powerful, just all around interesting with her powers too. I think Universa screams fighting game character. She really does. You could place this character directly in Mortal Kombat, and she would fit like a glove, and the Invincible Versus game is going to be very similar to Mortal Kombat, super violent. And like mentioned earlier, she brings the sex appeal, which is great for any fighting game. Then finally, last but certainly not least, we have Dinosaurus. This guy plays a huge role in the comics, not so much the show, which is why his odds of being in the game are somewhat low, but he's a big body character with technology and other gimmicks, so I think Dinosaurus would fit really well, and I personally just want him in the game. But alright, there you have it everyone, that's it for my full roster of the Invincible Versus. I've explained every single character in detail, why they're going to be in the game, or why they're likely, less likely, or not in the game whatsoever, and then ended with my personal picks. Like mentioned earlier, let me know in the comments down below which characters you want the most, and then while you're down there, leave a like if you enjoyed today's video. It really does help my channel out a ton. Then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.